So here is Pavlov classical conditioning. Pavlov, who was born in 1849 and died on 1936, is one of the most well-known people of psychology. Pavlov, who was considerably responsible and ambitious in terms of sense of responsibility and ambition and decisiveness to work, sacrificed a lot of things apart from scientific research for science. Pavlov was also a careful scientist. For example, he built a mechanism for dogs' mouth in order to measure the juice they secrete for the sake of providing studies with scientific validity. Then he designed three-story tower of silence, whose rooms were isolated from each other, which was sunk in sand, which was surrounded by a ditch filled with straw. They did not let air in when closed in order to prevent dogs from being influenced by any external stimuli. Here, the purpose is to maintain that reaction comes from just the stimulus. Pavlov was a Russian psychologist who carried out studies on the functions of herd nerves. Pavlov was interested in reflexes. The term reflex means behavior that an organism brings from birth and that is displayed to a certain stimulus in daily life. Dogs secreting juice for the given food is a natural reflex. First of all, it is important to clarify some basic concepts used by Pavlov in his studies. Unconditioned stimulus is a stimulus that causes an organism to display a certain reaction without learning having been occurred yet. In an ordinary experiment, food is an unconditioned stimulus because it causes the dog to secrete juice before learning occurs. Unconditioned response is the reaction that the organism displays to this stimulus. The juice secreted by the dog to the food is unconditioned response. On the other hand, conditioned response appears when the dog gives reaction to a stimulus to which it should not react normally. The response of juice displayed by the dog to the picture of food or to researcher shows that the researcher or the picture of the food has gained the quality of conditioned stimulus. The response of juice in this case is also conditioned response, and this process is called classical conditioning. We can say that classical conditioning is a process in which a response displayed by an organism to a stimulus under natural conditions is also displayed to another stimulus. The dog starts to display the response of juice which it gives to food in an ordinary experiment to researcher or the picture of food. Behaviorism expresses shaping behavior. In classical conditioning, shaping a dog's behavior is possible through reinforcement. Reinforcement means giving unconditioned stimulus again in classical conditioning. In the experiment carried out by Pavlov, the food given to the dog is a reinforcer and the dog continues to secrete as long as it is given food. In relation to this, when the food is not given for a certain period of time, extinction occurs and the dog stops to give the response of secretion after a time. If the dog is expected to continue to give the response of secretion, it is necessary to do reinforcement and to go on giving food. Pavlov did not make any reference to high-level mental processes in the animals used in the experiments in those years. At the time Pavlov carried out his studies, animal researchers were potentially being carried out, and animals were accepted to possess high-level mental qualities such as conscience and intelligence. Pavlov described his studies, which he carried out quite tangibly and functionally, and he contributed to the development of a neutral methodology in psychology. Joseph Wolff, who developed the approach of behavior therapy, took Pavlov's studies as the basis of his studies. According to Pavlov, both human and animal, each is a machine. They are complex machines, but in the end, they are just machines. Classical conditioning can be used for shaping many behaviors of human and animals. Since it is about natural and inborn behaviors, it is an effective technique to shape animals' behaviors. Likewise, it can also be used to shape the behaviors of children, who are thought to continue naturally to a great extent. How unconditioned stimulus should be is clear. It should not be conditioned, and it should have a direct relationship with response. On the other hand, unconditioned response should be an inborn response that is given to an unconditioned stimulus under natural conditions. Although it is very easy to prepare these conditions for animals, it is more complex for these conditions to take form in humans. Classical conditioning is true for humans, especially about feelings, since people's feelings are inborn and natural to a great extent. For example, fear is one of the feelings used by the organism to protect it. When an organism comes across a danger about continuing its life, it feels fearful. Fear is inborn, but it is shaped by classical conditioning that why and how fear is felt. Fears in daily life and also love and like all results of classical conditioning. A child matches doctor and painful experiencing during a doctor treatment and starts to be afraid of doctors. Likewise, people like other people with whom they enjoy themselves. People tend to generalize conditioning that are powerful for an organism, such as fear, since this is an important situation for people. When people start to be afraid of a stimulus, they tend to generalize it. A child who is afraid of doctors will probably generalize white coat and start to be afraid of everyone with white coat. Another example which shows classical conditioning in humans is reflex. Reflexes are people's inborn behaviors, so they can be easily shaped by classical conditioning. When a person has his mouth watered when someone says lemon, this becomes a good example. The person matches the word lemon and lemon itself. Thus, the response of having his mouth watered given to lemon is also moved when he hears the word lemon. Pupils' reflexive behaviors can be shared by classical conditioning since start of a reflex depends on an external stimulus, not on the organism. In classical conditioning, the organism is passive receiver of and reactor to environmental conditions. B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning. Skinner studied on mice in the fundamental experiment of operant conditioning. The mouse, which was put in operant box or Skinner box, developed by Skinner himself, displayed very different behaviors at first. What is aimed at in operant conditioning was having the mouse press lever in the box while the mouse was doing different things. It accidentally pressed the lever. Once it pressed the lever, food dropped in the box. Although the mouse did not establish a relationship between food and pressing the lever at first, it started to establish a connection between them after some repetitions. Although it was slow at first, the mouse behavior to press the lever increased in a short time. Skinner used the term of response rate in order to determine mouse behavior operationally. According to the law that he called law of acquisition, the power of a performance increases when reinforcer follows it, means practicing again and again. The power of the behavior to press the lever increases as long as it is followed by the food. The reinforcers here is to give food after behavior and food turns out to be a reinforcer. The behavior of an animal which is always reinforced continues as long as reinforcement goes on. One of the contributions of Skinner to behaviorism is the concept of behavior modification. This approach expresses changing human behaviors through developed rules and principles, and it especially uses positive reinforcement. A very common example of this is the case of a child who cries to get what he wants. If what the child wants is bought, the possibility of the child to cry in order to get what he wants at a later time, because what he wants is bought when he cries. However, it is a more preferable case to reward the child when he does not cry.